When I placed my feet in those damp sands for the first time, I felt a shiver that warned me something grand was hidden there. Looking at that solitary tower, with its worn paint and windows shrouded in shadow, brought a mystery that seemed to slip through the air like smoke. And you know what? It didn't take long for me to feel that place had a strange power that was pulling me into a story I barely understood. You know when you step into a space and feel the atmosphere almost calling your name? Well, that's exactly what happened as I walked toward the rusty portal of the old building. With each step, the mystery grew denser, as if the sea was whispering secrets from another time. But as curious as it sounds, that was just the beginning of a journey that made me question everything I thought I knew. I confess that, on the first night I decided to search those dark hallways, my heart seemed to leap out of my chest. Every creak of the floor was a reminder that the mystery there lived not only in the walls, but also in the air filled with forgotten stories. And, although fear was palpable, my curiosity stubbornly pushed me forward, even though I couldn't see very well what lay ahead. I discovered a secret compartment beneath the main staircase, where some pages of a journal were found, filled with symbols I had never seen. It's funny how a simple piece of paper can alter the course of our destiny, don't you think? The mystery became even more intense, as those words seemed to come alive, inviting me to uncover secrets that few would dare to know. The moment I held those yellowed pages, I realized they were not just random scribbles. They were testimonies that defied any logic. Reading each fragment was like peeling away layers of dormant secrets, and my heart raced with every clue. I felt that the mystery was becoming deeper, and it was pulling me further into that place. And, I confess, the tension in the air was almost palpable when I decided to descend again into the claustrophobic basement, where the light stubbornly refused to arrive. Amid old rusted equipment and remnants of shells, I found evidence of presences that didn't seem exactly human. As the mystery consumed me, I wondered, how far would I be willing to go to uncover all of this? I remember like it was yesterday the sensation of being watched, even without seeing or hearing anything that indicated another presence there. It's curious, but the moment I stepped into the underground chamber, a chill ran down my spine as if the very mystery itself was welcoming me. And with every step, it seemed that the silence grew, turning any whisper into a deafening scream. I found strange marks on the walls, as if someone had carved symbols that didn't fit into any logic I knew. That sent chills down my spine, almost making me want to turn back. But, I don't know, something pushed me to continue. Maybe it was my hunger to uncover this mystery to the end. From time to time, I think my own mind might be playing tricks on me, especially when I hear echoes that sound like voices whispering my name. Have you ever felt that nervous feeling in your stomach when you're about to take a big step? Well, that was exactly the sensation I got every time I approached something new, a mystery that called out to be discovered. Some nights, the strong wind hitting the walls sounded almost like a gloomy song, inviting me to dive into the deepest secrets of the lighthouse. And, as strange as it may seem, even though I was terrified, I couldn't resist the urge to search every corner for clues. That mystery had become a part of me, and I sensed that something even more surprising was yet to come. When I finally found a room full of antique objects, I had the strange impression that each one told its own story. There were maps stained by time, compasses with trembling needles, and faded portraits that seemed to watch my every step. For a moment, I felt that the mystery was breathing in there, pulsing in the accumulated dust and spider webs. It's curious to think that, in such a forgotten place, there are still relics holding fragments of other people's lives. Every groove in the wood, every rust on the metal, seemed to scream about the events they had witnessed. And even though the details haunted me, I kept wondering what else that mystery was hiding in the darkest corners of the lighthouse. There was a moment when I decided to sit in the middle of that dusty hall, just to listen to the roaring sea around the lighthouse. The sound of the waves, pounding and echoing, created a music that blended with the pounding of my heart, and the mystery, growing denser with every moment, made me feel that even the wind itself might be whispering hidden truths about that place. In the dim light, I saw some marks on the floor that seemed to guide me toward a compartment never opened before. It was as if something or someone wanted to lead me into a secret kept under lock and key. With every step, the mystery became the spark that fueled my curiosity, pulling me toward what could be the most disturbing discovery of all. There was one night when the fog covered everything, leaving my vision short and my imagination even more fertile. The wind whistled, as if trying to warn me about something grand and dangerous approaching. But let me tell you, this dark atmosphere only intensified the mystery, making my desire to uncover every detail grow even more. It was in this almost surreal mood that I came across a hidden corridor, one I never imagined existed. That narrow passage seemed to whisper secrets that echoed through the cold, damp walls. And as I walked through it, I couldn't stop thinking about how many old and forgotten stories intertwined with the mystery that consumed me entirely. I finally reached the deepest part of the lighthouse, where the walls seemed to close in around me. There, I heard a constant dripping that blended with the echo of my own breath. And the mystery did not disappoint. It was as if each drop of water was trying to tell me something it didn't dare say aloud. I found an old chest, covered in dry seaweed and rusted chains, which held personal items belonging to someone who seemed to have been there long ago. Each object called for attention, as if it had stories, still unfinished, to reveal. And with each discovery, the mystery grew more alive within me. But now, I feel it's time to reflect on what all of this means. I vividly remember the first rumor I heard about these mysteries involving the lost flight over in Storm Ridge. It was at a roadside cafe when an old local told me the story of the plane that disappeared in 1983 without a trace. I was chilled just hearing about the strange lights in the sky and the sounds of engines that seemed to haunt the mountains. Since then, I haven't been able to get that case out of my head because it seems like something is pulling me to understand what really happened. It's curious how certain stories touch us in a deep way, sparking a desire to explore every detail, every rumor. And look, the more we dive into these mysteries, the more questions arise, almost inviting us to discover what comes next. I remember when I tried to interview an old pilot who flew over that region shortly after the accident. He described enigmatic details, mentioning unexpected lights cutting through the clouds, which further fueled my obsession with these mysteries. When I hear stories from those who were close to the facts, I get a clear sense that reality can be much stranger than we imagine. Curiously, this pilot also reported echoes of voices that seemed to whisper between the rocks, as if the mountain itself held some secret. This inspired me to search for maps, aerial photos, and even reports from other observers. All of this only strengthened my desire to dive deeper into these mysteries. And believe me, it seems that with every new clue, a new enigma arises, almost like an invitation to keep moving forward. Recently, I visited an old warehouse where I heard accounts from someone who swore they had seen a piece of what could have been the plane's fuselage. I was wide-eyed when they described strange marks and a kind of twisted metal that didn't seem to be corrupted by time. These stories always leave me with a nagging feeling and make me question what we call normal. They are mysteries that defy logic. I also spoke with locals who still hear nocturnal noises, as if they were ghostly echoes of engines in the dark. It's almost as if the mountains themselves wanted to tell a story that no one has been able to decipher until now. Honestly, all of this just makes me want to dig deeper, because I feel that each new account brings a clue that could reveal even more mysteries. The last time I went to Storm Ridge, I spoke with a young researcher who brought modern equipment to try and detect signs of possible wreckage. He showed me curious magnetic readings, which only fuel these mysteries surrounding the lost flight. I found myself wondering if the mountain was hiding something beyond what our eyes can see. Curiously, we discovered reports from hikers who swear they felt a strange vibration in the ground, as if something was trying to communicate. This made me reflect on the endless possibilities surrounding this event. Could there be a scientific explanation, or are we dealing with unknown forces? Every time I dive deeper into these mysteries, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of what really happened. Once, in a small cabin at the foot of the mountain, I met a local who claimed to have dreamed repeatedly about the moment when the plane disappeared. He described visions of intense lights and sharp sounds that seemed to tear through the sky, which only fueled my thirst to understand these mysteries. Every detail he described sounded so real that I actually felt a shiver down my spine, as if I could see everything through his eyes. What was most intriguing is that, according to this man, the dreams always ended with a sense of emptiness, as if something was missing, almost an echo of what happened decades ago. As I listened to him, I kept wondering if there might be some hidden dimension to these visions, perhaps linked to energies we don't fully understand. And it's precisely this type of account that drives me forward, because I feel that there are still many mysteries waiting to be uncovered. On one occasion, I decided to sift through old records in local libraries and found newspaper reports that told curious stories about the region. There were mentions of unidentified lights and unexplained disappearances long before the lost flight. These clues added more fuel to the fire of our mysteries, leaving me with the feeling that the story goes far beyond the missing plane. Even more interesting was discovering reports from people who felt a kind of calling to visit Storm Ridge, as if the mountain exerted a supernatural magnetism. This made me think about the number of strange events that can happen without most people noticing. And the more I come into contact with these sources, the more I want to explore every inch of these mysteries to try and connect the dots, paving the way for what is yet to come. In the search for more details, I ended up talking to people who claim to have seen strange rock formations in the higher parts of the mountain, where no one usually ventures. They say these stones emit a peculiar energy, something that intensifies the mysteries surrounding the lost flight. I find myself wondering if there's a connection between these phenomena and what really happened there in 1983. What surprised me most was that some locals swear they felt a vibration in the air, almost like a rhythmic pulse, when approaching these rocks. It's incredible to see how each new piece of information seems to complete an unknown puzzle. Now, I feel that each discovery brings me closer to a surprising conclusion, but there's still much to come before these mysteries are uncovered. During my investigations, I came across a document that mentioned a similar accident that occurred decades earlier, but was quickly covered up by local authorities. It's intriguing to think how these mysteries may be connected, perhaps pointing to a greater anomaly in the Storm Ridge area. Every time I uncover some suppressed clue, I feel like I'm paving the way for something much bigger than the simple disappearance of a plane. I spoke with a former public official who suggested the existence of unofficial reports describing sightings of intense lights and even accounts of metallic sounds coming from the top of the mountain. I was chilled, imagining how many versions of this story might exist, waiting to be revealed. And I believe there is still much to discover because each fragment of these mysteries seems to push us toward new and perhaps surprising revelations. Not long ago, I found an old manuscript at the house of a local collector, describing mysterious rituals that allegedly took place in the outskirts of Storm Ridge. The words seem to have been written by someone who witnessed inexplicable phenomena, further reinforcing the mysteries connected to the lost flight. I felt that the text was some kind of warning, as if it were trying to tell a story forgotten by time. What was most curious is that the manuscript mentioned encounters with pulsating lights in the sky, phenomena so strange that no one dared to openly talk about them. This discovery gave me a sense that we are dealing with forces far beyond our understanding. Deep down, I feel there are still layers to be uncovered, and these mysteries may be connected to something much greater than the mountain itself. I spoke with an old mountaineer who, during one of his climbs, found something resembling metal wreckage embedded in the snow. He described a twisted structure and remnants that could belong to the plane, and these stories only add to the mysteries surrounding Storm Ridge. Hearing each description makes me feel that we are getting closer and closer to a revelation, although there is still a veil of uncertainty hanging over everything. He also mentioned strange whistling sounds on the most remote peaks, almost as if the mountain were silently mourning what happened in 1983. I stood there, imagining the possible connections we could make from each discovery, as it is in the smallest details that the greatest mysteries hide. And with each new piece of information, I feel that we are one step closer to putting all the pieces together. But there is still much to unravel.